Hey everybody, thanks for checking out my video. I'm your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, and this is my series Nails in the Coffin, where we learn that with great kills, there must also come great nails. If you're new here, what I do is I take the on-screen kills in horror movies and I rate the stupid decisions that the victims make using a scale of 1 nail in a coffin to 4 nails in a coffin. The more dumb decisions they make, like running upstairs instead of running outside, well, they get 1 nail in the coffin. The more intelligent decisions they make, the harder they fight to protect themselves, the more brave they are, they get more nails, and I go up to 4. So, where are we at this week? Well, our stay at Camp Crystal Lake has now taken us into the third dimension with Friday the 13th Part 3D. Here's a summary of the average nails in a coffin for the first two movies I've covered. The original Friday the 13th had an average of 1.7 nails in a coffin, and Friday the 13th Part 2 had an average of 1.9 nails in a coffin. Ginny thought she killed Jason at the end of Part 2, but as this movie begins, we see that Jason is still alive. He's now at a nearby lake house, killing victims with his new look. I'm not the only one hearing that. I guess it should be okay. So, have a seat by the campfire, get your s'mores ready as we put some nails in a coffin for Friday the 13th, Part 3. At 15 minutes in, we have our first kill, and it's Harold. He and his wife Edna live in this, small shack close by Crystal Lake. And this is where Jason steals some clothes off of the laundry line, ditching his plaid shirt and overalls. Harold was using the bathroom and he hears some noises coming from outside. So he goes to look around and he's not really finding anything until he opens the door, turns a light on, and he sees Jason standing in front of him just in time for Jason to bring down a meat cleaver into Harold's chest, killing him. Our first kill in Friday the 13th Part 3 earns Harold 2 nails in a coffin. He was investigating a noise he heard, and as soon as he opened the door and turned the light on, he saw Jason standing there, and the next second, the meat cleaver was being slammed into his chest. He heard a noise, he was investigating it, so that really wasn't too stupid. He didn't think he was in any danger, and I really didn't see anything he did wrong, because as soon as he opened the door, the meat cleaver was brought down into his chest. He didn't have much time to react at all, so our first kill is going to get Harold 2 nails in the coffin. Harold's wife Edna is next to go. She hears something right after Harold is killed, and she goes to go look see what's going on. Well, while she's looking around, she gets startled by a rat on a board in a shot totally made just for the 3 aspect of this movie. While she's backing away from the rat, her back is against the door. Jason grabs her from behind and he takes a large knitting needle and pierces Edna through the back of her neck throughout her mouth, killing her. Edna is also going to get 2 nails in a coffin. Just like Harold, she heard a noise and she was investigating it. She saw a rat and got scared, which I would say is totally normal. And she had no idea that somebody would grab her from behind and kill her with a knitting needle. So she had no time to react, and just like Harold, she's going to get 2 nails in the coffin. Up next is Fox. She was one of the bikers that were terrorizing Shelly and Vera at the convenience store. Well, after that altercation, Fox, Local, and Ali follow Shelly and Vera back to the cabin where they were staying. I guess their plan was to siphon some gas and set fire to the barn to get revenge for Shelly damaging their bikes. Fox is having fun in the barn, swinging back and forth on a rope as Loco is telling her to get down. He looks away for a second and Fox disappears. Well, Loco goes to look for her, only to find that she's been killed by Jason. We didn't see how she was actually killed. It was off screen, so we're not going to be able to rate Fox's death, but we do see how Loco was killed. After he sees Fox hanging there, speared through the neck by a pitchfork, he turns around just in time to see Jason take a pitchfork and stab him through the stomach, all the way going throughout his back and killing him. For Loco, he's going to get 2 nails in a coffin. You can argue that if Fox, Local, and Allie never went to barn to cause destruction, they could still be alive, but that's not what really Nails in a Coffin is about. It's like, did they try and avoid being killed? Did they show bravery? Did they make stupid decisions once they were actually faced with death? So, taking all that into consideration, I think it's fair to give Loco 2 nails in a coffin, because as soon as he saw Fox hanging there in a horrific way, he turns around for Jason to quickly stab him through the stomach with a large pitchfork. So I think it's pretty fair, and I'm going to give Loco 2 nails in a coffin. Allie eventually goes looking for Loco and Fox in the barn. Jason dumps Loco's body on top of Ollie. Ollie sees Jason jump down from the loft, and Ollie grabs a machete to go fight him. Allie gets knocked down and out by Jason, but Allie is not dead yet, and we are definitely going to get back to him later on in the movie. At an hour in, we have Jason's next victim, and it's Vera. She was by the edge of the water on the lake trying to grab Shelly's wallet. She sees Jason walk across the dock, and this is the first time we see Jason wearing his infamous hockey mask, similar to the one I have right there behind me. She thinks it's Shelly at first, since Shelly was wearing the hockey mask earlier in the film. But Jason starts just staring at her, and he raises up the spear gun and points it at Vera. Vera's asking, "Who are you?" and asks him to stop, just as Jason pulls the trigger on the spear gun, and another 3D shot. The spear goes right to Vera's head, into her head, killing her. Vera earns herself 1 nail in a coffin. She sees this giant man pointing a spear gun at her, and she never moves or screams or does anything. She just stood there as Jason raises up the spear gun at her, and then just says, "Hey, stop it." She doesn't try and move or duck or do anything. He fires the gun at her and kills her, and Vera did nothing. So Vera, you're going to get 1 nail in the coffin. Next up is Andy. Jason is now in the house, and Andy was having some fun walking on his hands. He comes out of a room walking on his hands. He looks up to see Jason just as Jason takes down his machete and brings it down, cutting Andy in half in a brutal kill. I tried to show a clip for this, but YouTube kept saying that it was age restricted, so I had to shorten it down a little bit. But if you're familiar with the movie, you know this is a very brutal kill by Jason. Well, without any really time to react, Andy is going to get 2 nails in a coffin. He was having fun in the house, flirting with his girlfriend Debbie, walking on his hands. He was a jokester. He really wasn't doing anything wrong or stupid. He had no idea there was danger lurking around the corner. He looked up just in time to see Jason bring down a machete and kill him. So this is going to earn Andy 2 nails in a coffin. Debbie was just finishing up in the shower, waiting for Andy to return. Then she gets out of the shower, and she's reading a Fangoria magazine on a hammock. Blood starts to drip on the magazine. She eventually looks up to see Andy's bisected corpse. Then Jason grabs her from underneath the hammock and kills her by stabbing her through the back and her chest with a large knife. And this kill was very similar to Kevin Bacon's death in the first Friday the 13th. Debbie is going to get 1 nail in the coffin. She was laying on a hammock, and she saw blood was dripping on the magazine. And it took her a little bit of time to actually look up. And as soon as she looked up, she sees that Andy was killed. But I don't know how she never saw anyone underneath the hammock, or how she never saw Andy's body overhead when she walked in the room. I don't know how she missed it. It was as if she had no peripheral vision at all. I ask you, walk into a room and don't tell me if you don't notice something on the ceiling, or if you would see something underneath a hammock. How she didn't notice any of this, I don't understand. So for those reasons, I'm going to give Debbie 1 nail in the coffin. Everyone's favorite character, Shelly, is next. We don't see what happens to him. Chili opens a door, and we see Shelly had his throat slit. Chili thinks it's a joke, since Shelly has been pulling these pranks, the entire weekend. So we didn't actually see what happened to Shelly, so sorry Shelly, no nails for you. But we do have nails for our next victim, Chuck. He's down in the basement looking at the fuse box, trying to get the power turned back on. After he gets the power turned back on, he turns around to see Jason. He's immediately grabbed by Jason by the throat and pushed into the fuse box, where he's electrocuted and dies. Chuck had no time really to do anything, so I'm going to give him 2 nails in a coffin. I think this kill is more fault of the construction of the fuse box, that if something gets pushed into it or bumped into it, they're immediately electrocuted. Not going to say really that was Chuck's fault, because as soon as he turned around, Jason grabbed him by the throat and shoved him into this electrical box where he was electrocuted. I don't know if he had time to really react. I can't say, he shouldn't have put his hands up, because he was just bracing himself for being pushed. So, thinking about this one, I'm going to go down the middle and give Chuck 2 nails in a coffin. Right after Chuck dies, we have Chili, who she's still thinking Shelly is joking, and she goes over to his body slumped on the floor and tells him to stop, where she finds that he's actually dead for real. And she has a very interesting and comical reaction to his death. Shelly's dead! She's running around the house calling for Andy and Debbie, saying, Shelly's dead, Shelly's dead. She goes to the door, but the wind blows it open, and she turns around and walks right into Jason, who had a red-hot fire poker in his hand, and he stabs her through her stomach, killing her. I'm giving Chili one nail in the coffin. Chili was laying there for a minute or two, and Chili still thought it was a joke. She found it was real, and she kind of just walks upstairs looking for Andy and Debbie, but they were nowhere to be found. She was about to go outside, but the wind blew it open, so she decided to turn around and go back inside, where she walks right into Jason, killing her with the fire poker. I think if anything, you would want to get out of that house as soon as possible, as soon as you see nobody's in it and you just found your friend dead. So, but she kind of went back inside and didn't go outside because the wind blew the door open. And when you do dumb decisions like that, you're going to get yourself one nail in the coffin. Rick is next. He and Chris are looking around the cabin and they can't find anybody. Little do they know, Jason has pretty much killed everybody off. We don't see how Rick was actually grabbed by Jason, but when Chris goes to walk outside, we see Jason holding Rick and he's unable to move or scream at the time. As soon as Chris goes back inside, Jason squeezes Rick's head and his eye pops out in a funny death, again, just made for the sake of 3D. We saw enough of Rick's predicament to rate it with nails, and I'm going to give him 2 nails in a coffin. He was struggling to get free of Jason. He couldn't scream because he had a hand over his mouth, and Jason was holding his arms. He was even kicking his legs and feet to try and get the attention of Chris, but he was too far back behind the side of the house, and it just didn't work out. You know, he was struggling and everything, and this 3D death is going to get Rick 2 nails in a coffin. Our final death in Friday the 13th, Part 3, takes us back to earlier in the movie where Allie was not killed. Chris is fighting with Jason in the barn, and Allie jumps out of nowhere to get Jason. But Jason quickly turns around and cuts Allie's arm off with the machete, and then after Allie falls to the ground, Jason butchers him with the machete. I'm going to give Allie 3 nails in the coffin. Early in the movie, he definitely showed bravery when he first saw Jason. He went to go get a machete to go get this guy that killed his friends. And he survived the first altercation with Jason, and how many people can actually, say those words? He tried to get Jason at the end, only to be killed in the process, but even though he was a bad guy per se, he still showed a lot of bravery, and all things considered, I think Allie deserves 3 nails in the coffin. The movie ends when Chris swings an axe into Jason's head, giving him the damage to his mask that stays for most of the other movies, just like this one. Where the hell did it go? That can't be good. I hope that doesn't really continue. Should I be worried? After the axe swing, Jason falls down, presumably dead. And then there's a dream sequence like the first 2 movies, but we know that never happened. And the movie ends with a lingering shot on Jason with the axe in his head laying on the ground. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Those are my nails in the coffin. Here's a quick summary of all the nails awarded. Here's a summary of the first 3 movies in the franchise with their average nails in the coffin. The first Friday the 13th had an average of 1.7 nails. Friday the 13th Part 2 with an average of 1.9. And Friday the 13th Part 3 with an average of 1.8 nails in a coffin. Come back here next week for Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, to see how that movie fares with my nails in a coffin. Thanks again, everybody. I really appreciate you checking out this video. Hit that like button down below and make a comment on what you thought of the video, if you agree or disagree, and let me know how you think Part 4 is going to do with my kill analysis. Thanks again, and please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the nails during our stay at Camp Crystal Lake. I'd really appreciate it. And also, feel free to share this video on other social media platforms if you think somebody may get some enjoyment out of it. I keep hearing those weird noises, so let's see what happens next week if I keep hearing them. Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. I am your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, and remember, with great kills, there must also come great nails.